practice that has had multiple generations and so many years of practice, there's a real deep-rooted understanding that everything that we do with dance comes from a very sacred place. In our dance lineage, we're taught that if you walk into a space, then it's as if you're stepping into our house in heaven. And so we bring that into every space. And obviously, it's not always an easy path to navigate. I mean, I think that some spaces do open up and become a place that's very welcoming, that really receives you, and you can feel it when you feel constricted or you feel like you can't really bring your full self into a space. And so I do think that that is something that is cultivated through time, through trust, through understanding, and being welcomed into this community has really created something for our family and our dance practice that is very supportive. And I think that that's something that is so important. You know, it speaks to more than just a tangible space. It speaks to the intention of what the conversation will lead to, how we can begin to bridge gaps, how we can begin to understand one another and our practices, and through our practices, although there's such a difference between ballet and Giksan ancestral dance, for example, you know, there's these deep roots in both practices, and yet there's these openings that we're looking for in a very current context. And so to be able to share those journeys and to learn from one another, I think that for me, that's also something that the space has really offered.
Yeah, I would agree with that too, from the sense of there's the physical space, but just Margaret and I being invited to come and be a part of the artist in residency and to work with the Ballet BC dancers. It's not only us that are here, but it's all of the families and communities and artists that we're connected to that may or may not have felt that there was a space for them here. And so it could even be in the sense of like when we're, you know, inviting members in our community to come to a Ballet BC show. For some people that I've invited, elders and other young people, Indigenous artists, that's been their first time in the Queen Elizabeth Theatre, and they've really enjoyed having that experience. And it's so much more than just coming to see a show. It's being invited and welcomed into these different spaces. And so I think when I'm in spaces like this, I'm not only looking at who's currently in the space, but who's also not here yet. And how can we continue to open doors or open conversations so that people feel that there could be a space here for them too. And I think that that's something that we won't maybe even see for many years, or you know, maybe that's part of the work that we do for future generations, is that maybe there'll be a time where it doesn't feel that strange to come into a building like this and have an Indigenous dance practice. It'll actually feel quite natural. And so I feel in the way that our mothers and grandmothers and those before us did the work that allowed us to be here today where we are, I feel like we're doing our piece of that work for the future generations too.